from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another RC Conspiracies podcast. We're going to get this thing kicked off in just a couple minutes. Sit tight, listen to the music, and you'll know when this thing's going to get started. If you're joining us later, I'll put time code down in the description. Just click that little link of time code, and it'll take you right to where you start. Hold tight.
When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try.
Shady silhouetted images and industry teasers are finding their way into our homes and invading our minds.
Oh, no!
Their calculated information is delivered to feed our addiction for radio-controlled frequencies. It's an RC conspiracy. But we are on your side, cracking the RC code. Because the truth is out there. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast. Get your decoder rings ready and put on those tinfoil hats because your fearless leader is here. Please welcome your host, the lead RC conspiracist, Tony Cece. Tony Cece. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome to another RC Conspiracies podcast. Today we've got some conspiracies to talk about. Big one we saw last week. Wasn't sure whether or not to believe it. Kind of thought, fake news. Somebody trying to get some clicks. There's not enough other news around this. Somebody could just put wider things on and say it's new. Lots of reasons to question it. But they came out with a video yesterday, and it's been driving me crazy waiting for tonight to talk about it. I should have just gone live last night like I thought about doing, but I digress. Still, only 4,000 people or so had seen that video. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're not. So we're going to talk about it a little bit today and see if we think it's real. I mean, based on this, it feels real. And if it is real, well, then kudos to Traxxas, man. You know, I've had a hard time saying that as of late, but kudos to them. This one had kind of set me off a little bit because I expected so much from it. And that was the original Max. And I know that there's a ton of you guys out there that love your Max and you think it's great. If you go back to some of my original videos about the Max, my gripes were that it bounced all over the place. It rolled over. It needed to be wider. Tires were okay. They weren't great. But the main thing was that it didn't handle like the bigger version of the X Max that I was hoping that it would, because I loved the X Max handling so much. And it didn't have it. And turned out that the Haas did handle a lot more like the X Max, in my opinion, the way that you could hit the brake and it would dive the suspension forward and lean, and it wouldn't roll. It would just soak it all in the suspension and just turn around and get going the other direction. And that was because I run in a lot of high traction areas with grass and cement and things. So if you're on dirt, you may not have had some of the same gripes. But then when they did finally say, you can address that, almost immediately came out with the Wide Max kit that was another $60, and for a long time just kept selling it that way. And I was like, everybody that has one of these pretty much has to buy this. You could make it so that it was an extra $60 for people if you just started installing it at the factory with the wide ones instead of the short ones that everybody's getting rid of anyway. Not to mention just the amount of plastic we're getting rid of and throwing away that's just wasted and unused in those shorter arms. Anyway, it was a gripe of mine, and it looks like they're coming out with potentially a wider one and a little bit longer just to make it handle better. Because the other thing that I had an issue was a lot of times you'd land and it would bounce and just flip. Just that small size of it and the way that it was built, it just bigger battery tray. The battery tray was a huge gripe of mine. I mean, I was pissy about it. I mean, I got into my Velcro's better, but this doesn't hold squat except for Traxxas batteries or soft packs. And this thing, you shouldn't put soft packs in. And, every other standard battery won't fit in here. That's a 4S. This is, I went into my little rant that I was going to have to buy more batteries. And I already had like 8 4S batteries and none of them would fit. Anyway, I digress. I did the same thing with the Haas and the battery. But no, JMRCs, I did do it about the Max first, and that's why I was so bitter about the Haas as well. So yeah, but the Haas felt like it worked with the batteries, but then it just wouldn't hold them, and then they go flying out. The Max, they wouldn't even fit in, so you had to do that Velcro strap system, which is what I ended up putting in the Haas as well. No, actually, with the Haas, I ended up drilling it and shoving one of the Allen wrenches in it that came with it. Anyway, what's going on, guys? We got Riff Raffs here, Brian Taff, Kurt RC, Sean's RC Adventures, Zarek D Racing. I'm going to have a little bit of a tough time talking, guys. I just talked for an hour and a half with the Crush It guys over on their Monster Truck podcast. So I'm coming straight from that. Guy Samard, welcome. Welcome, you guys. JB Scale and Graphics. JB Scale and Graphics makes awesome graphics and flags, you guys. So for your RCs, I have several of them. All right. Troy's Hobbies is asking, do people have the center drive shaft issues on the Max, like the big X Max? I did not have center drive shaft issues. The battery rage, yeah. So I had a battery rage about the Haas for sure. And I remember having a little bit of one about the Max as well, because it was just such an annoyance that, there was an industry standard size battery for so long. And then Traxxas made theirs longer and a little bit thinner. So they would fit in their cars, but not others. It was kind of an interesting, but this one's going to hold a massive battery pack. And so it should be able to hold a bunch of other battery packs as well. So, yeah. Oni, I'm late. Please start all over again. No thanks. So let's talk about this. So I'm going to start with what I saw the other day. So we'll just get to it. This is the post that I saw. I'm zooming in on the wrong screen. Now, I'll just click on the picture. It says new Traxxas Maxx V2 just arrived today, so just come in to see it live. Hashtag Traxxas Maxx, hashtag Traxxas Racing, whatever. Lots of hashtags. Then it had this picture of him holding it. Okay, so the tires look different, but I'm like, that could be any tires. It doesn't have like a stock one to look at. Original one, so I don't know if this really is bigger or not based on this picture. This one, again, angles could be deceiving. Definitely feels a bit bigger. Is somebody just playing tricks with us and they made their own chassis? Who knows? But the body did look bigger, as long as that wasn't kind of just optical illusion based on colors in the shape patterns and all that, because car companies use the patterns and different things to kind of be a little bit of illusion on our minds. And then there's this one, but they're offset, so you really can't tell, other than it's a wide one for sure. The bumper looks a little bit different, but it doesn't have the light bar in it, so it's hard to say. Is it aftermarket? Who knows? Because the tires look like they'd have been aftermarket at this point anyway. So, but the tires do look better. This pattern on the original ones wasn't great. So first of all, I'm loving the look of these tires. A little bit taller, maybe narrow, maybe feeling more like the Big Rock in a way. That little taller, narrower tire looking pretty cool. So that's what we're seeing. Then there's this, but this doesn't really do anything except show colors. But they all do have that new tire pattern on it. But I know that Traxxas had just released a bunch of new colors, so who's to say? Right? So 71 comments in here. Start looking through the comments. And even some of these older pictures here. This is when I realized that they'd have put this in here. It says the wide max, wider stance, maximum stability, 1.7 inches width increase, or 40 millimeters. And they're showing here the wider stance of it and the color. So those are kind of what we're going off of. And eventually they post a video, which we'll look at in just a second, if you haven't seen it. So here they end up doing, and they want to be known that they're the ones posting all of this stuff, right? The border stamped right in the middle of it. So if anybody shares this image, you know it came from the border. Definitely looks longer. Definitely looks longer there. We back out, go down a little bit more. They show the inside, again, stamped the border. Definitely longer. The parts themselves look the same. Like you could probably buy a new body and just use your original plastic pieces, inserts to put inside. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to upgrade your Max, you probably could just buy a new chassis if you've already got the wide kit, and then you'd have a little bit longer stance. And it looks like the chassis might be a little bit wider as we look at it. So yeah. So this guy is with me in the beginning, your fake news. And then they show this. And see how tight the electronics are in the original one here? But look at the gap at the top here to right where it is here. But also at the ESC, it looks like there's more gap. And if there's both on both sides, it might be just a little bit wider. Not that that makes a whole lot of difference. It might be because of the battery tray on the left side. But here's where they're showing, look at, that you can put this massive Traxxas 4-cell 6700. This is one of the batteries for the X Max fits in here now. Wicked. So you can put a big old battery in there, their ID battery. So a lot of this stuff is like, dang, okay, they're listening. And they've gone and upgraded a truck that they just recently released. That's not very Traxxas of them to do. So it took a little bit longer than, say, Losi did with the LMT and fixing the axles and that, and just being like, boop, running change. Well, with this one, they didn't roll the wide kit as a rolling change. Should have been. And I've said that since it came out. Okay, we know it's a problem now. Just change it and start putting them on them from the factory. But yeah, I don't get it. It's cool, though. It's cool to think that, hey, maybe they're listening to some of the gripes and complaints, and that you're already taking a very expensive vehicle at over $500, $560, something like that, and then expecting people for it to drive good to spend another $60. So you're in a $620 4S vehicle for it to handle all right. So yeah, it's cool that they're doing this. Now, if they then jump up the price on this to be that $700 or $650, then they haven't solved any problems, because what they should be doing is, how much more plastic are they using to redo the chassis and to do the wider kit? Not a whole lot. So for it to be in a ready to run, the price increase should not be significant for these changes, in my humble opinion. So it should hopefully come out at what is either the cost or just the inflation of things going on. Now, the other thing that I need to point out here is the Netherlands does not seem to be having a shipping issue that the US has with getting new products in to their ports and into the hands of the hobby shops, because I mean, they've got it. Kevin Talbot could just drive on over there to the Border Online RC shop, or just call them up and have one probably in his hands this week or next week, if he hasn't already. Speaking of Kevin Talbot, how's it going, people? He's here, or he was here. Welcome to the chat. We're just kind of curious what's going on here. And if you haven't been following, Kevin Talbot is building a full-size monster truck that makes me really want to start building a full-size monster truck. So, Kevin says he got his today. Oh, wicked. So there you go. Now, if they jack up the price like Riff Raff saying, it says bet it'll be $750, that ain't right. Because the changes that they just made to this does not increase the truck by $200 for extending it 40 millimeters, guys. 40 millimeters each side. You're gaining 1.57 inches, over an inch and a half of width. I would not pay $200 for that new tires and a new battery tray. But I do like what they've done if the pricing comes in reasonably. $575 maybe throwing a little change, because ready to run prices aren't what you sell. You're not going to charge $60 for a wide kit on top of already having a kit in there. So you're removing some product from it and putting some in, and the cost difference should be minimal at that production level. You guys agree with me or not? I don't know. I don't know what the prices are. This has not been announced by Traxxas. I was going to say it may not be real, but Kevin Talbot says he has his already. So yeah, I don't know. All right. Same price as before, Kevin says. Well, that's good news, because I think the price was already, Traxxas kind of more than just the conversion rate differences. It seems like there's a little bit of an import fee that they do put on yours. So I'll start ranting on that. That's fantastic news. So again, they're breaking the ceiling. There's a glass ceiling being broken. I'm very shocked. This is fantastic news from Traxxas. If these are the same price, that's wicked. I need to catch up to comments so that I'm not so far behind. Some say inches matter, says Moose Jaw. Yes, it wouldn't have mattered $200 though. Kevin says I've got to build a monster. So Kevin, I'm not by the Andersons anymore, but I'm right by Monster Truck Throwdown, where the guys that run that shows are. And so there's like Sinistar here, Avenger, Dirt Crew. There's a whole bunch of monster trucks in Michigan. So I need to find out how to get involved. But yeah. This is not the way. This is not the usual Traxxas way. Well, I give it to him for that. That's fantastic. That makes this very, very good on them, and it starts to change some opinions that I have. had the past year. I still like Traxxas vehicles, but I was starting to get kind of like, I questioned every time they come out, am I going to buy this one? Like even this one, I'm like, I got to see the price. I like that they've listened to all the things that I was hoping the Max would have been, and they're doing it. So as long as the suspension handles better too, as well as sounds like they may have tuned that a little bit, that would be really cool. Endo's RC, am I around the Team Scream shop? I'm not. Probably about 3.5 hours away. But yeah, I think Sinistar is like right in Coopersville here, as well as Monster Truck Throwdown, the ones that run the events. And then I was just talking to Daniel Chichigash, who works for the Hall Brothers Racing Team, on his podcast right before this, and he was saying a list of all the different people that are from this area. I mean, there's a bunch of monster trucks represented right out of here in Michigan and this kind of Midwest area. So very cool. Very, very cool. Yes, Sledgehammer's on it. LVRC. Those look really good. Innovative RC. Good question. When do you think Arma will release their new 4S cars? Now might be a good time. As soon as Traxxas drops this announcement, I don't know how long the shops there were supposed to hold on to them and keep it under wraps for them to roll things out. But this was very unlike a Traxxas kind of release. If this, we're finding more and more out that this appears to be real. And so, Kevin Talbot has it in his hands. So that's about as real as it gets. And I trust him saying that he has one. So that's pretty unlike them to already be in hobby shops and in hands and not have made the announcement a week ago. So I don't know what's holding them up from announcing it, knowing that they are arriving places. But it makes me wonder when the announcement will come on the Arma 4S, and I honestly don't know. I haven't heard anything about it since I talked, did the interview with Jason last December, so I'm not on the inside circle on any of that. But last time I said that, though, I looked like a liar because that infraction mega came, and I had no idea that was coming or that they were releasing them. As left field for me that there was a smaller on-road coming from Arma. And so when I was talking about it here, I was shocked that there wasn't people already doing videos when they'd done the announcement. And then usually, like, when that video hits, usually like there's 7 videos that hit or 14 or however many, and none were coming. And so, and then all of a sudden one showed up in the mail that weekend. So, maybe, knock on wood, something's going to show up. And I'll have to be secretive about it, but I can say that as a fact that nothing has at this point. So they're definitely getting an overhaul. What's going on? RC reactivated. Blacksmith RC. JB Scale Graphics says need aluminum shock caps from factory. Yes, this is very true. Akidi M13, Academ 13. Traxxas is huge to newbies. That is true. I think that Traxxas definitely has an interesting market in that so much of their market is toward not even the people that have their products from before, but constantly getting new people to be interested in RC and buying their product. So, and a lot of people that have a Traxxas and get it for the first time, that's the name brand and so next time you go to buy one, guess what you're going to buy? So they're smart in that they do target very much to newcomers into the industry. Very smart. And that's probably also why they change colors and stuff all the time, trying to just catch that person's attention that, oh man, I love those colors on that. Jeremy, he says Dearden said he was testing them already. That was a year ago. There's a lot of testing that they have to go through. I do know that. And then once they test it and they get it to a point where they're willing to stamp it and approve it, then there's the manufacturing process that it has to go through. And then what is the wait time on it? There's always a lead time. And that also depends on what is already in queue and needing to come out. So by the time that they approve, or if they keep making changes on what they're testing, that can drive it back. I don't know though. CJRC, why is everyone making fun of Traxxas? I don't think that everybody is making fun of Traxxas. I know that some people have been burnt a little bit by Traxxas. But honestly, the crawling world loves Traxxas. The TRX4 is one of the best, ready to run, get it out of the box. Lots of features crawler out there. The X Max is, top notch for a 1/5, 1/6 scale monster truck, 1/7, whatever they want to call it. I think it's when you get into this middle point when there's a lot more competition and Traxxas doesn't seem to have an eye on what the market people, the people that are in the market, us people that are willing to sit in here and dialogue in a live chat about remote control cars that are that into it. And they feel like Traxxas doesn't understand what they've been saying that they need or they want based on, what they buy and the videos that they do and the cost that they bring it out at with the feature sets. For a $550 4S, you're pretty much getting a 6S Arma. And so there's definitely where people think that there's, that they're trying to get new people that, only see that and will pay the extra not knowing enough about it because they bought one before. So I think that they make good products. I think that they are smart in the staying power of their product line. They don't make a lot of changes to it, so there's always part availability for it. And that means that there's also a lot of upgrade parts for it because the companies are willing to go and make upgrade parts because they know that they'll be able to sell it for a long time. So, yeah. And I honestly want them to make a solid axle monster truck. I really do. So that's me. I'm not saying some people might be, but the Traxxas people make fun of Arma people. Arma people tend to make fun of Traxxas people. There's a lot going on there. Just coming from different the mindsets of what they want from an RC. Johnny Ranham says, I had a Max with wide max kit, tons of upgrades, and sold it. I think I'll buy the V2 now. Got a 6S Creighton EXP and love it, but not as tough as the Max. The Max was really, really tough. Really tough. Drivability was interesting. It had its moments, and it had moments where you're like, I stuck the landing, and you bounced and rolled, and, So I could never seem to get the suspension right on it. But yeah, what's going on, JT? Let me read the comments here for a second. Jeremy Cravens, I didn't buy my Max and get the Creighton EXP. I actually got rid of my Max after I got the Big Rock. I was driving the Big Rock all the time. Okay, not often UK get something first. It's awesome though, man. Very awesome. How far behind am I? Wow, I'm a lot behind. All right, I'm gonna skip comments and get way down here to the bottom. Thank you, Academ 13. Oh, you're trying to get people to say what they like. Arma or Traxxas type. Ouch. 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 JT's the number 3. I think a lot of people are both. And it really depends what you're getting into, the type of car. So, RC Master, they were told to put 1 or 2 based on the what they liked, Traxxas or Arma, if they associated with one more than the other. So I've got a lot of both. What's going on, Chuck Chaffin? They saw the podcast with Josh. That was cool. Awesome. Yeah, we had Harley Designs on the podcast recently. This weekend we did it. Kevin says he has 2 Traxxas lipos and they've been perfect. I can't say I've never had Traxxas lipos. Partly because of the price of them at the time. But yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, any of the name brands come with a price tag on them. So yeah, there's a lot of comments. What's the deal with Jegs coming out with the truck? Jegs just, you know, what so many people do when they first get into RC, they start with buying a truck that's been out and can be rebranded. A company is willing to sell their product under a different name, license it to somebody else. And so they saw an opportunity to get one of their own branded monster trucks. And so they went for it. So that's, I think, what's up with Jegs doing it. They can have it in their stores and their magazines. But yeah. Jeremy Cravens, I'm Arma for life, but the Max was the toughest RC I ever owned. You know, I say the same thing too. I think the Max also holds when it breaks pretty well. It covers it up. Because when I actually did start going in and I was saying like I wasn't breaking anything, when I started taking it apart, I had a lot of cracks. Bulkheads and a bunch of big things I had to replace. But yeah, it holds together very well. And I'm totally, if this is the cost of the original, I'm pretty in for this one. I can say that. Like, I don't have like this anti-Traxxas mentality. If they have something that interests me, I'll buy it. The Haas, the bunny hop of the Haas interested me 100-fold, man. And I loved it. I sold it because I was at a point where we were looking at moving and it was still new condition. It still looked good. And it wasn't so dirty that I would have to spend a long time cleaning it to sell it. So I sold several RCs that I could sell because they weren't in bad condition. And so that was one of them. And then I'd given away the Creighton Forest and the Max. The 2 that I kind of put head to head against each other, I gave away to a charity that works with young boys. And so I'd gotten the Big Rock, and I thought it was superior as far as fun factor, ease, drove well, jumped well, handled well. I wasn't rolling over all the time. And then, you know, eventually found the one thing with that to be that screw that holds the wheel on, the wheel nut and all that. So yeah. Wow, Kevin, get to bed, man. 3:20 there. Go have a good bash with the Max. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for letting us know it is real. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, dude. And I'm so stoked to see your monster truck run, man. Hopefully not on a day where you've been up till 3 a.m. the day before. on a day where you're rested and you're going to go nuts. Anyway, yeah. See you, man. So yeah, that's it. So I do have that video, actually. We haven't looked at some of that. Where is that thing? Aha. So look at how many of them they have. The dashboarder.com. So he's going to pull it off the shelf here. And what does it say? Wide max suspension, extended chassis, and sledgehammer tires. Still 4S, 60 miles per hour plus. So wide max suspension. I'm curious to see if that'll have anything else with the shocks, any changes that we're not noticing right away that they've done to the actual spring rates and all that. Because I know that they wanted you to put in different oils and change the springs when you bought the wide max kit. So yeah. It's just the thing that makes me happy about this is that this should have been done and then they did it. And so again, I just say huge kudos to them for making this now the max. They're not even calling it the wide max. They've just gone and did the upgrade, and this is their V2. It's not the wide max kit. This is what it should have been. So now the wide kit is just literally going to be replacement arms. So RC Master, yes, there's only a few differences which are huge. And if they keep the price the same, it's awesome. Super good on them. Oh yeah, you can grab the specs that would be wicked. Cody Vandenberg, what do you think is the future for the SMT-10? At the price they're selling those kits, I think that it's probably the future of the SMT-10 is maybe to be a gravedigger truck, ready to run, low price, easy, low cost to get into the hobby for people. So I think, yeah, that's probably it. Seems to me they thought V1 was flawed. I think that they thought that because they came out with the wide arms right away. Like it was weeks after it came out, which means that it was already in production for a little while. I think they saw the writing on the wall that it needed to be wider. So yeah, my only regret, Riffraff says, is the Vortex, not because it's bad, but it isn't really suited for your driving style. Yeah, it's not quite the stunt truck of the Granite or even the Big Rock, just because of the tire type. But it brings it with the speed and control in the air. But yeah, it's different. Depends how you bash. CJRC. So what is it really worth upgrading from the normal max to the V2? No. Most of the rest of it is the same. You could just buy the tires, the chassis, the drive shaft. If you've already gone wide max with yours, that's all you'd have to replace. All the rest would be the same. That's if you want to get that little extra length. They're saying it's wider than the original, but it's technically not wider than the original if you've put the wide kit on. So they've, at that point, then just extended it, the length of it a little bit. So yeah. Mobile's RC shed. Traxxas won't keep the price the same. Come on. I mean, if they're manufacturing it should be close. Because the little bit that they're doing in the plastics being a little bit longer wouldn't be that much more. Yes, SCX 24 version 2. Any idea on what might be changed on them? Based on what Harley said, I would agree. There's a chip shortage. And so I'm going to guess that means that they would have to maybe change out some chips for the electronics, at which point they would just probably designate them differently. So, or maybe the motor's a little, I don't know. There's something small enough, I think, that they can do, because if you look, there's already specs up for it, and they don't list like anything significant changed. So I'm thinking it's so minor that it's for their purposes and their inventory, but I don't think it's significant. So if you can get your hands on a V1, I wouldn't wait. Because I think what's happening is that they're just trying to keep stock of them. And if they can't get the part that they need, they might have to have changed a small thing. All right. I'd hate to be the first one. I'd hate to have bought the first one and then had to turn around and spend money on the Wide Max kit. Yeah, that's how I agree. I did, and I was not very happy about it. I thought that it should not have been the way that it was. But all right, so if we keep scrolling through this video, I'll try to catch back up to comments here in a second. I'm pretty far behind. Yeah, just get a Techno MT410. That's a really wicked truck. I don't have one yet. But yeah. Yeah, see, he's got the Max with the wide kit and love it, but they should have more body options. But no free rides. Don't you think that it should have just come with the wide kit already, so you didn't have to spend another $60 to get it? That's what's so great about this release. It's a good thing. And again, I'm giving them a hand for doing it. So they got the bigger battery tray, the 2.8 sledgehammer tires, and the wide stock. So yeah. So here, RC Master's actually posting some stuff in here. So if you do get the new chassis, guys, I'm pretty sure you have to get a new drive shaft in the center because it's going to be a little bit longer. Unless they tuck the bulkheads in, but I don't think they did, because that wouldn't make sense. So here's what he's saying is the differences. Wide Max kits installed now with expanded battery bay to accommodate the large 6,700 milliamp hour 4S Traxxas LiPo with 2.2 sledgehammer tires, X Max toughness intent scale, TQI 2.4 gigahertz radio system with the stability management, self-reading, 60 plus mile per hour top speed with pinion gear and power upgrades, and 4XL power upgrades. Okay, VXL 4S ESC. Does that mean like if you just buy a 6S system and put it in? What does it mean, power upgrades? 540XL brushless motor. Torque biasing center drive with cush drive. Yes. Wheelbase specs all listed here. I don't think it's going to be 734.44 RC Guy Garage unless it's posted somewhere at that. So they are already paying 600 euros or whatever for it, or pounds, and they're saying that the price stayed the same. So they were already paying more after the conversion than we were here. So if theirs was 600 before and it's 600 still, that doesn't mean that ours jumps from 560 to 734, because even before this upgrade, theirs was 734 and ours was only 560. That makes sense. So there's some kind of tariffs and stuff that go into them getting it. If you've watched RC Aussie Playground, he talks about how expensive it is to get the Traxxas stuff there. That was one of his biggest gripes with it and why you never saw him doing Traxxas stuff. So yeah, I don't think that the price is going to be that. I think they're going to come with the same body options, just different colors. They don't change the actual shape of it typically. You have to do the aftermarket. All right. Actually, guys, fine, 750. He's saying it's going up more. I like his style. You're all right with me, guy. All right, so looking at it here again, you can see it looks very similar. Those tires look really good, though. For a stock truck tire, those are maybe some of my favorite looking out of the box tires. But it shows that the bigger battery going in here. And it also comes with the attachments if you want to put in the smaller one. So yeah, he just stuck that huge battery pack in his hand in. I can go full. Whoa, can't go that full screen. Too big. Theater mode. That's what I want. So here it is with the battery in. Nice and snug. It would probably be worth getting one of theirs so it would fit that tight. I don't mind putting in foam pieces either if I have a short pack that would slam around. The fans to me have always been problematic. Both of my fans were chewed up and gone in a week. All the blades chipped off from stuff getting in there. In that scenario, it'd be really good to have like a shroud that goes over it to keep the little stuff out of it that gets in there and destroys them. So yeah, so now basically we have to wait for them to announce it so we know what it's going to cost here, when it's going to be available here. But overall, I mean, that's one wicked, a very cool table. See this? This all drops down, closes up into a briefcase. It's got this cool little tray here in the middle as well underneath. This now I want his table more than I want the Max. How do I get one of these? It's like a roadie case for like a rock band that is a cool table. I know what guy thinks about dust covers. I don't typically like them, but if they're going to start putting fans in there with cheap fans like this that bust all up, and then they charge like $30 for a new fan to go in it. They got a stack of them, man. I wish they'd have had an old one to compare it to, but I can't blame them for not having one. And I got rid of mine, so I can't blame them for getting rid of all theirs. Anyway, that's it. Saw it on the border. It just popped up in my feed, and thought that's interesting. I've been looking online. I wasn't willing to buy another one, guys. I told somebody, it might have been Guy, that I was looking at a Max again to give it another shot. But I wasn't willing to buy it and then add the wide kit. So I was looking for one used on Facebook Marketplace that already had been converted. And I had one actually pop up that I almost pulled the trigger on. But I had some other expenses come up that I had to pay for. So yeah, something new came out, and that always trumps over old stuff that, you know, is old news on YouTube. So RC Enthusiast says it's $650. Earl already has all the colors ordered. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm interested. Ethan Vissers hopes it's 650 American. Man, I hope it's under 600 American. Let's look at what does one cost to buy one right now. If I were to go on to A-Main Hobbies, good old trusty A-Main, and buy a Max. Whoops, one more X. Oh, they I-49. Expected Monday, December 27th. So all these new colors that they talked about, was that the new one and they didn't even tell us? Were they keeping secrets? No, it doesn't look like it. I'd have to look at the dimensions. Yeah, if it's $549, I am putting one of those in my shopping cart, saying Merry Christmas to myself. I'd like to get this solar flare one. Oh, see, this still has the old tires though. So they weren't messing. But that may be why they are on back order. Does anybody have it in stock still? And does that mean that the original ones are going to go on sale, or will they just add like a wide max kit to go with it? These are questions I have. I like asking questions. I do like that solar flare. Buy it now. Out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. All the new colors, they just announced new colors and they're out of stock. Maybe it's an old new color. I haven't been paying attention. I've been busy. The V1 Maxes in all the hobby shops. Yeah, and so maybe that's why they're not wanting to be news, because they have product to sell before Christmas and they don't want people waiting. But that kind of stuff makes me mad. Like, if you know that that's the case, just like mark it down if you want to move inventory and you know something new's coming. It happens all the time. That's where you see like the DJI Mavic is $100 off because there's a new Mavic in town. So LSD paint job, says Barry King. Bubbles RC shed, it'll be $699 guaranteed. I don't think so. I think the maximum that they could go with this would be 600, but people are already complaining about 550 when you look at the market and what 4S goes for. And I honestly wonder if the Creighton is getting an upgrade to be more in a middle range with this. I don't know if that Arma 4S lineup is going to be bolstering it or where they're going to place that in the line. All right. Still Zach, the RC guy. I messaged Traxxas earlier and they said they don't have any information on products that aren't on their website. Well, very soon, a lot of people in the UK will. The V1 Max has been delisted in the UK. It will be $550 USD, says Michael RC. I agree. I think they're going to keep the price. It should be the same because it really doesn't cost them that much more to make 20 millimeter longer suspension arms. It really doesn't. The biggest cost might be the tires, but they already were making a rubber compound tire and it's just a different mold. So they had to make a mold that was incorporated into the cost of the first ones. It should be It should be the same. And unless they're accounting for inflation and all the costs of the shipping container prices they have to pay right now, and that inflates the prices. But I think we're going to see it at that $549. I'm going to step out on a ledge. Yeah, it used to be $529, so they've already inflated it a little bit. Yeah, the Sledgehammer tire's already been made. They already had a mold for it. So awesome that they have it. They can stick it on there. They've had the arms already. They have the mold for the arms since pretty much when the first one came out. So it's more just stopping production of a whole separate piece, because they were basically having to make 2 sets of arms. It's actually cheaper for them to start to reduce that and just tell people, if you break arms, you got to upgrade to the wide. Everybody's gone wide. Or find the short ones on eBay. I'm hiding mine from us. I don't get anything from Traxxas except for a letter to take this video down tomorrow. Maybe. That happened one time with those the Snap-on trucks. They asked me to remove the video or the posts. I don't remember if I'd done the video already or not. Either way, I had to remove them. Box on the shelf to the right back there. That's my Vanquish Phoenix and my TLR 22, which I need to build both of them before they're outdated. I don't have anything new that I have to worry about being in the shot. I have stuff I need to sell, so that will be coming to Facebook and maybe eBay soon. Some cars I might be selling. Earl Moorhead in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
That's not scale.
John Miller, how's it going? I'm going to get ready to wrap this up here, guys. That I just want to share. If you guys hadn't seen it on Facebook, it was happening. I was shocked that only 4,000 people had watched that one Traxxas. It wasn't by Traxxas, but the video of it that we were just looking at. I think just like me, a lot of people wondered if it was really true or not. Having Kevin Talbot come in here and validate it and say he's got one, that helps. So it seemed real once that video came out. Some of the pictures, I was kind of with other people like, somebody photoshopping and messing with us or what. But the video, there was no messing around with that. So what's lazy? I missed it, RC Master. What was lazy of me? Oh, the extra 20 seconds to put a dust cover on? I hate putting dust covers on. I like Velcro ones. Those are all right. But the ones where it has to like hook around things and stretch over and ugh. Yeah, I showed the secret closet. Everything I've got is custom stuff, and I have a lot of custom stuff that I want to do. Hey, Vasco, what's up, man? Voss. Yeah, we were just talking about the cost of importing and what that means for the pricing of vehicles in other countries from Traxxas. And if I recall, that it was quite a bit of a markup for you guys, even beyond what it is for just the currency, the exchange rates. It was even more than that. Max V2 is legit. Kevin Talbot said he has one. Says he just got one. Yep. RC Master. I always tell people it's photoshopped when a photo is leaked. That's funny. Oh, it's not that I'm lazy looking for a wide max secondhand because he can't be bothered to put them on. No, because I don't want to pay the secondary expense of upgrading it to what it should have been, which is what they're doing now, which is something that I've said since I got it and since they came out with the wide max kit. And I said, this came out right after you release the vehicle. It's been like 2 weeks and you've already got a wider suspension arms for this. You knew this was a problem, but they just kept selling them that way and then charging people $60 or whatever the cost is. It's expensive to do them all. So you're already paying $500 and at that time $530 for a 4S vehicle. Tack on $60. Basically, you're at a $600 4S vehicle. People didn't understand it. They were just getting screwed over so big time by them. And then when you put it on, the drive shafts weren't long enough, so you'd start breaking drive shafts. So I hope that these are a little bit longer drive shaft that come with these as well, but we'll see. But yeah, they were totally screwing people. And the fact that, and this is when I actually really got pissed at them and wouldn't buy any of their stuff. I did buy the Haas, but I didn't want to, but the bunny hop was too cool. But when I just kept seeing that they weren't releasing the Max with wide already installed, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like they know that they have an underperforming 500, or just drop the price or give them the fix with the car, like it's $530. Here's this. It sucked out of the box, but we made these so it'd be better. Like why rake them over the coals for $60 kit that you could have, I don't know. I was pissed about it because it was a really tough truck. So I didn't want to have to pay that expense. And I was hoping to find that one that was already upgraded with the wide kit and the CVD metal drive shafts. That's what I was hoping for. So it wasn't laziness. It was the price and ridiculous. I didn't want to spend that much again, but I'm willing to spend this, and I'm willing to overlook that. Yes, it will need metal drive shafts. That's very typical of a lot of cars, and that's an upgrade component, in my opinion. Longer suspension arms I did not consider an upgrade. I considered it essential. But yeah. Once upgraded, my max was $740. Yeah. And so I don't even have an 8S X Max right now. And so I was torn, like, I just buy that, or do I get the Max? Fake Noggle. It's not worse than blowing out an LMT axle on the first drive and having to spend another $500 Vidavon parts for it. We had to talk about that on the Crush This Monster Truck podcast. Solid axles, no matter what you get, are going to break if they're plastic. So you have to drive them different. And I think that was lost on a lot of people. Because I still am running version 1 axles on one of my race trucks, and I race it and I freestyle it at the races, and it doesn't have a single crack in it. So it comes down to what it's meant to be used for, and being a solid axle, that is limiting. So most of the stuff that we're breaking those axles on, we'd have broken SMT 10 axles on, we'd have broken Clodbuster axles on, we'd have broken what was the other one? I couldn't remember on their thing either. The Red Cat ground pounder. So solid axles just don't take the abuse that an independent one will. But yeah, I get your point. But it's a $20 replacement part. Whereas we were busting stuff on those and having to replace them too when we were jumping them big. So A-arm's like $10. It's a little bit cheaper to fix them than a solid axle, but it's a different problem. And honestly, the answer that they did was right. Before they shipped another container of LMTs, they put more bracing into the axles. That's the right way to run a company. And they actually they gave people new ones that would call in and complain about their broken ones, and they'd give them the V2 axle. So that's the difference. This has been a problem for 2 years that people have having to buy this and spend so much money on those cars. So I am giving Traxxas the benefit of the doubt, and I'm giving them a hand for finally listening and doing the right thing. And that is, they're not calling it a wide max. They're not going to offer them side by side, I don't think. They're getting rid of the narrow one and just being like, our bad. Here's a better performing truck. And that's good on them. So but it's a good RC. It just is very expensive. But solid axle is different in that it's always been that way. And we either bought freestyle axles or we bought somebody else's if we wanted to do the big stuff with it. Just like getting the new body for the SCX6 because they are cracking. Mine cracked. I didn't get a new body for it. Mine cracked because I was dumb and put all the weight of it on that mirror. And that's going to happen with thin plastic that is a body. I mean, my Max body lasted. I mean, it was trash after the first run. It was torn and ripped, and the wires to the lights were cut. Fan blades were missing. So it happens. Like, bodies are replaceable things, and that's over time using it. They crack and you replace them. They take a lot of the abuse of what we do. You know, we're rolling heavy vehicles. If they're SCX6, we're complaining if stuffs aren't more scale and they're not putting molded parts on. And then when we put molded parts on, we complain that it's a flex point that breaks something. So, you know, they can't win in some ways. But my complaint against a product like the Max and having the narrow suspension arms, and then immediately already having the wide ones available, knowing the issues, and then waiting so long to change it was, I thought, a problem, because everybody voiced that opinion. I think they knew it, and that's why they came out with them. I thought for sure after the first shipment was done that they would just do what they're doing now, which is start packaging the cars with the wider suspension arms, because it just seemed to make sense, but they never did that. That's all I'm saying. That's what I got pissy about. But again, some listen, some don't. I feel like they listen the least to what the RC community is saying. You know, they're looking more towards the new buyer. And so when we get something and we've driven a bunch, you know, we all have however many we have, and we see, well, this doesn't make sense that you did this, and they realize it, but don't do anything about it. It's just weird. So yeah, it's not a bad thing, you know, but it's annoying. And so again, this whole video is kind of saying, good job for doing it. Like, I'm actually shocked that they did it at this point. It should have been done, and they did it. So good job. And I saw Hitmansky was in. We did say for a second solid axle. Mr. Solid Axle himself is in. Arma nailed it with the 3S line. They did. The problem that they have is that screw that holds the drive shaft to the hub, basically, and it just backs out. It should have been Loctited. It or done a different way, because that screw just backs out under power. Lots of people have wheels roll, but there's nothing broken. It just a screw came out. Kind of a pain in the butt to get in there and fix it too. But it is a great line. That's the one little gripe I have with it. Yeah, all you got to do is put Loctite out when you first buy your Arma. It'd be better if when they were assembling it and putting that screw in, if they just went ahead and did it, though. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, you can take it apart when you get it, and you can Loctite it, and it adds an hour or two before you can go out and play, but it'll save you the headache of doing it later. Jeremy Cravens, I don't own my 4S Creighton. I actually gave away my 4S Creighton and my Max to a boys club in Texas that helps them learn traits, work on cars, work on electrical stuff. And they contacted me. I think they thought it was a company, and they were looking for donations. And I said, I've got a bunch of parts and some cars that need some work. You guys are welcome to have it if you want to use that as a teaching lesson. And they thought it was awesome. So sent it down. The kids fixed them up. They taught them how to do it. It was small stuff, new drive shaft, things like that. But I had a bunch of parts, extra chassis, bulkheads, all that, so they could keep them running for a while. I sent them some batteries, I believe. So, but that's because I got that 3S Big Rock, and I just liked it. I like driving it better. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, you can't win, can you? Everything has an issue. I don't think price is an issue. Like being overpriced to a degree, I don't mind. I buy Apple products, so I can't complain about getting less for more. But when you have quality, that's okay. And I think that for the most part, Traxxas does have good quality stuff. Have I ever had a nitro? No, I haven't done anything nitro. Will I be converting my Max? I don't have a Max anymore, or buying a new one. I plan to buy this one. If these upgrades, I've stood true to that. I'd said that these things would make it better, and if they're putting it out there, I really want to test it out and see how it does. So, yeah. I liked the Max. I thought it was the most durable. I have a video saying it's the most durable video or truck of 2020, 2019, whenever it came out, 2019. And the main thing for me when I compared it against the 4S Creighton was the 4S Creighton, you broke an A-arm and then you put on RPM and you were fine. And you were still cheaper than the Haas, or not the Haas, the Max by quite a bit, if you just immediately put everything to RPM. It was just more drivable. Like you could jump and flip and land, and it did what you expected it to do. If you landed on all four, it just kind of maybe hop and just drive away. With the Max, you do what you thought was a perfect flip, land, and it would just kick and like flip 100 times, and then you'd have to do the roll feature, self-righting. And it's like, what is going on? Like, why can't I get this thing to jump and land, or even just landing normal? It would pop and roll and whatever. It was not, I wasn't in control of it, and that was starting to bug me. I got to the point where it wasn't just about how many times I could flip it in the air, and didn't care if I really landed or not, as long as it didn't break. And it looked cool flipping. That used to be all that excited me. But now it's like I kind of want to be in control, and not having that control was the problem. That's what I didn't like about it that I liked about the Creighton, is it definitely felt controlled. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get ready to peace out here. I know a lot of you guys are checking out too. Thanks for tuning in. I think that it looks like this is totally legit. Like we said, I think that good on Traxxas for doing it. And these are things that should have been done, and they got on it and they did it. Took a little while, but better late than never. And it actually, at that price point, I feel like that makes it worth more of what they are charging for it already anyway. Some of these just nicer upgrades, that little wider stance, the better tires. It's going to be a little bit bigger looking because they extended it, lengthened it a little bit, so the body just looks a little larger, so it doesn't feel so small for what you're paying. I think they're all good things, and yeah, when it comes out, I plan to get my hands on one and put it through its paces. Maybe even this time I'll buy a Traxxas battery and a Traxxas ID system just to see how it does, so I don't have to complain about the battery tray. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, have fun RCing. Catch you later. See you.